Hello, viewers. Welcome back. I'm back here with Ian at Ecoustics, and we're going to take a look at our mid-tier offerings or picks for amplifiers. So let's move on to
Yeah.
your choice for streaming mid-tier. So we're looking at like 1,500 to 2.5 grand mid-tier streaming amplifiers.
I find this category a little harder to pick. I mean, as much as, I mean, for me, the NAD M10 V2 is a really, really nice. It's basically, it's like a more mature version of the Blue Sound Power Node, because obviously it has, it has the high definition screen. It's a more powerful product. See, for me, the benchmark in all the network amplifiers, even like 3 or 4 years into this category, is still the Naim Unity Atom.
Right.
And which is obviously, I mean, it's over $3,000 US now. I believe it's actually $3,200 or even $3,400 now in the US. It's gone up.
I looked it up. It's gone up to £2,700 here in the UK.
Right. Yes. So it's gone up. But to me, the Unity Atom and even the Unity Atom Headphone Edition that I'm in the middle of writing up the review, Naim really did their homework with this product. And everybody has sort of been playing catch up to a greater degree with Naim in this category. And and everyone loves, they're seduced by the beautiful volume control. I mean, look, it's the first thing you notice. You pull this piece of kit out of its packaging. I mean, from an industrial design point of view, I can't think of a product that probably gets more comments. Naim sort of, very, very intelligently figured out this is where the market is going. And this is going to be like our product that sort of defines the category for the next 2 or 3 years. And I don't think anything has honestly come around at the price point that I mean, maybe some people think the Cambridge Audio Evo series is probably like the closest.
Okay.
But to me, the Naim Unity Atom is one of those products that if you said to me tomorrow I could only buy one product and I'd have to stick it on my rack, and I'd have to find a way to integrate it into like that one system that I own. That might be the product that I buy, and forget about everything else. So
well, it's great sounding, and it's got a full sound. In the mid range, it's not lean sounding. My choice is the NAD M10, which is, I reviewed the version 1. It's now gone up to version 2. It's £2,200 here. And I think it's just, again, because when you're looking at that price point, you want something which has an excellent interface. It's just a joy to interact with. It's got a 7-inch. I think the Naim has a 5-inch color screen. This has got a 7-inch touch screen. LCD. It's got those VU meters that pseudo VU meters.
Everyone loves those.
Oh, that's, even my wife was like, "Oh, wow, that's cool." And it's that Blue Sound OS app that we spoke about when we were talking about the more accessible gear. So the usability of that. What's the usability like on the Naim interface in terms of streaming?
So it's funny when I did a review. I'm not going to name the reviewer who sent me the product first, but I was sent the product without the remote control. The person forgot to put it in the box. So I had to rely on my iPad, my iPhone, and the actual touch screen and the volume dial.
Right.
So the Naim app is really good. I know that when I went to the Focal powered by Naim Houston store last year when it opened, it was the first one in the United States. The Naim engineers who were actually present at the opening made a big point in terms of how much money Naim has invested in the Naim app, and how what we're seeing with the Unity series that exists right now is only scratching the surface. That they have actually a full-time team whose only job right now are actual software engineers whose only focus is actually the Naim control app.
Right.
And so I definitely
work on it.
So I definitely think that Naim sort of knew coming into the category that if the control app was a piece of rubbish, consumers would be like, why am I spending $3,000 on this box if it's such a, it's really ridiculously hard to use. And it's very much like the Blue Sound, because I remember when I got the Unity Atom, the original Unity Atom, to review, I gave my wife the iPad and I said, just tell me if you can figure this out. Like, let me know if you can control it without really me showing you anything. And it only took her a few minutes, and she managed to figure it out. And the other thing that's really nice about the name, you know, I know that British listeners are I think because I guess the radio markets are obviously very different. The FM radio markets are very different in the UK, Canada, and the United States. You know, the way that they've integrated sort of like the BBC stations, you know, into like the internet stations into the Unity Atom, and the way that you can essentially search internet radio for global stations is really, really easy.
Yeah.
So that to me, if you're interested in listening to world radio, is a fantastic thing. And Naim, obviously, because they're a British company and they know that a lot of the British audiophiles are listening to stations in France and Germany and Russia and Spain, aside from just the UK. There was thought put into it. Like, how do we make this easy?
It's good. I've heard it a number of times, and it's got a fuller sound. My impression of it is not quite as detailed and as dynamic as the M10, but it has a fuller sound, especially in the mid-range, which probably would appeal to me, actually. But also, the NAD, you know, interface is second to none. It's got the better Hypex modules in it, the N-Core ones. It's so that makes quite a bit of difference in terms of clarity. It has got a slightly kind of that smile presentation. It's a little bit lean in the mid-range. And you've got Dirac room correction thrown in as well. So it's just I think just in terms of a one box unit to interact with and takes up minimum space.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Nice to look at. You know, I think both of those are very, very solid choices.
Well, the one thing that Naim didn't do, and I did give them, I guess I made some comments that they didn't like in the review. The fact that there's no phono stage in the Unity Atom, to me, was a colossal mistake. Because, I mean, Naim has been making phono stages for decades. And their rationale for not putting a phono stage in the Unity Atom was that it would take up too much space and it would compromise, you know, the rest of the circuit. And I was kind of like, people are buying more turntables now than at any time in the last 3 decades. Why would you potentially turn off a customer by not including a phono stage? And then their response was, well, then they could just, you know, add their own phono stage and use one of the line level inputs and be done with it. But I mean, I just think it was weird that Naim chose to not put a phono stage in that, because I mean, the integrated amplifiers, you know, almost always, so most of them did had a phono stage.
Right.
NAD does something different. NAD, whether it's their standard stuff like the M10 V2 or the M33, which is part of the Master series, they have modules that you can, when you order the piece, you can order it with a phono stage board that gets put in at the factory.
Can you do that with the M10? I'm not sure you can do it with the M10. I think you can do it with the C range, some of the ones with and some of the probably bigger Master series.
Yeah, it might just be the M33 and up. Yeah. But that's a big thing though for people, because also the fact that you can connect for, I don't know what the UK, but the fact that here people will use the HDMI eARC, because essentially they're taking the M10 V2 or the Unity Atom and they're plugging it into their television.
Yes.
And that is a big selling point for people, because if you can effectively say you have a high-end amplifier, streamer, DAC, preamplifier connected to your TV, and all you need are your speakers on either side of the TV, and that's your hi-fi system. Yeah,
just get a subwoofer and you got a 2.1 channel home cinema system.
Exactly. Yeah. And for a lot of people, the fact that they can run the one cable from their television into the streaming amplifier is a very big selling point. I know that when we do reviews of streaming amplifiers, a lot of the questions we get post are, is there an HDMI connection? Like, is there eARC? You know, can I connect it to my LG or Sony or Samsung television?
Yeah, I can imagine that eARC. I had mine connected. My hi-fi here in the corner is always connected to the to the TV via an optical into the DAC.
Right.
But, you know, that eARC makes life so much easier, because you're just basically adjusting the volume on your TV and it's controlling your hi-fi. You know, you can do it off the TV remote, which is a big selling point of that. But,
and you're also getting better sound quality out of your television because it's running through the amplifier into your speakers.
Yeah. The only thing with the NAD M10 is that all the analog connection coming in is digitized Yeah, it's converted to digital. And I did notice a drop in quality through that analog connection compared to the digital. The digital one sounded great, but the analog was so-so.
Yeah, definitely slightly inferior. Yeah, for sure.
Good. So shall we leave it there for part 2?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've done our Naim NAD commercial.
Well, there aren't. I mean, you've got Lindorf and you've got Cambridge Audio, but there's a reason why these two are
Hagel.
kind of the.
Yeah, Hagel as well.
Yeah, Hagel are quite big though, aren't they? So these are kind of more compact, and Hagel's, they're cracking products, but they're full size and their streaming functionality is more limited, and the connectivity is more limited.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Because the app for people is everything, and actually, and you mentioned it like about 10-15 minutes ago that outside of BlueOS, Sonos S2 is really what consumers now consider to be like the benchmark, for apps in terms of like control of your products and streaming, and that's the thing. You can't sell. This is how you can tell the way a company is run. You can't sell people a $5,000 streaming product, and then at the same time include a control app that looks like it was designed by school children.
Yeah.
And some people will say that that's a very extreme comment, but I have to tell you, I've reviewed a few network players over the last 2 years, and readers can go to the site and read all of my reviews, and they'll figure out which one, because I make it rather clear. The streaming apps don't match up with the price of the product. No. And I don't get companies who think that they can get away with like this amateur level streaming app, because look, think about how inexpensive the Blue Sound products are. The Blue Sound Note is $549 US. That's not expensive. Why would you include like what looks like a weekend project as the control app? I don't get that.
It's the software development cost. There's a lot, isn't it? And then also you have to keep on top of all the OS platform change. If you've got Apple iOS or Android, all those platform changes, you have to keep on top of that. There's a lot of cost in developing it and then maintaining it. So
I guess I would just say do it right the first time.
Yeah,
because like in many ways, like that's what the Naim people said to me. They said we spent like unbelievable amounts of money. And they said some people would say we were crazy to spend that kind of money, but I don't think they were, because I think Naim knows, 5 years from now when, people buy the next generation of Naim streaming products, and the Naim streaming platform already has such a solid foundation, people are like, yeah, this is easy to use. Because that's the thing. Products have to be easy to use.
Yeah. What I'd like to see is what's happening with if BlueOS is the benchmark, I think, in the audiophile space as far as the streaming app is concerned. And it was really nice to see that the new Roksan Atessa has the option of BlueOS. And I'd like to see BlueOS in a lot more devices, because then it gets around the problem from a manufacturer. From a manufacturer's point of view, they don't have to put all that software development in, and they've got a really good platform.
So I'm not sure how the Brits pronounce it. Did you pronounce it Cyrus or Cyrus?
Cyrus.
So Cyrus also has integrated BlueOS, I believe.
Right.
Which makes sense, because if you're a really small manufacturer and, why fix, something that isn't broken?
It's a lot of resource and money you'd have to throw into developing your own, and second, keeping it up to date. So, I think that's probably the way it will go. BlueOS.
Yeah, definitely.
Hope find that in a lot more devices going forward. So we'll leave it there for part 2.
Yeah.
Okay, good.